Hello guys, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to show you a sold book that's in my collection, and I thought you might be interested to have a look at one of these sold books page by page. The sold book was basically the pay book of the soldier, a German soldier in World War II, and as it says there, it also served as his personal identification papers. It says Zugleich Personenausweis. So I thought we'll have a little look at the booklet here. I bought this particular example here for three reasons basically. First of all, the soldier that it belonged to was a simple soldier, but he was a medical orderly. Secondly, he was attached to a Panzer Grenadier regiment on the Eastern Front on the last days of World War II. And thirdly, he did his basic training in the garrison town of Bad Kissingen in northern Germany, which is a town that I do know. So anyhow, we'll just go through the book here. As you can see, it has the Wehrmacht eagle on the cover. Opening up the book, you've got the soldier's photograph. The soldier's name was Max Schuppler. And on the first page, you had his identification details. So you had the details that would have been on his identification tags, his dog tags. He was assigned to the Sanitätsabteilung 13, which is basically the medical replacement battalion number 13. His number would have been 7402. Gives us blood group as O. Gas mask size 2, so that's medium. And it also gives his army number there. So Coburg 089395 So it gives his entry as Soldat or soldiers or private when he came in. He was promoted to corporal or Gefreiter on the 1st of the 2nd, 1945. Page number 2 gives further details, personal details. So it tells us he was born on the 30th of July, 1908. He was born in Thuringia in a town called Sonneberg. His religion was Protestant, and he was a Kunststeinpresser, which is basically an industrial prefabricated artificial stone presser. So the kind of stone I guess you would see on, for example, kitchen floors and that kind of thing. His personal details, his height, 172 centimeters. Gestalt is basically build, so he's a middle or medium build. He had black hair, brown eyes. Any other distinguishing marks? None, it says there. It says here, for example, Brillenträger. You can see he's not wearing glasses there, and he said he didn't come in with wearing glasses, but I'll come to that later. Bart is beard, so he did have a mustache. As I say, he's clean shaven in the photograph, but he came in to the Wehrmacht with a Flieger, which is German for fly, and that refers to a kind of a Hitler or Charlie Chaplin style mustache. So the kind of what the English call the toothbrush mustache. Has a signature there, Max Schuppler. And as I say, he was assigned to do his basic training, Dritte Kompanie Sanitätsersatz- und Ausbildungsabteilung 13, which is basically translates as the 13th Medical Replacement and Training Battalion. And that was, as I said, in Bad Kissingen in northern Bavaria. The army base was known at that time as Manteuffel Kaserne. And that is dated 11th of September. That would have been the signature of the commander to make sure that the details given on the first two pages were correct. Page number 3 is Bescheinigungen, which basically translates as any changes to any of the information on the first two pages. And as it says there, Beförderung, which is promotion. So he was promoted to, as I said, Gefreiter. And he was a soldier of the 1st Company of the Panzer Grenadier Regiment 20, or Panzer Grenadier Regiment 20. Panzer Grenadier Regiment 20 were part of the 10th Panzer Grenadier Division, and they were basically a Kampfgruppe at that time of the war. It was signed by the commander, so that's a signature there, which I can't make out, but he was a lieutenant and company commander. And as I said, that would have been added when the Gefreite was added into the little box here in the front. Page number 4 gives details of his service. So, as I said, he was initially contacted by the Military Recruitment Service Department in Sonneberg. Sonneberg is a town near Coburg. And he was sent from there to the, as I said, the Medical Replacement Battalion in Bad Kissingen. After his training, he went to the Panzergrenadier Ersatz Battalion, which is the Panzergrenadier Replacement Battalion, from which he would have been sent on to the Regiment 20 from there. If he had been wounded or anything like that, if he had to return from further training, he would have come back to his initial training depot in Bad Kissingen. So that's it written down here. So if you're wounded in battle, you would not have gone into the hospital and then straight back to the front line. You would have gone back to the replacement battalions to be reassigned from there. I don't think he actually ever went back to Bad Kissingen. I mean, that was probably written while he was doing his training or just after he left his training, but I'll come to that later on in the book. Next we've got next of kin. So we got Ehefrau, which is wife, Eltern, which is parents, or other relatives, or fiancé. So in his case, we got Max Schippler, and he gave his Ehefrau, his wife, as next of kin, and it gives her first name and maiden name, so she was called Ida, and geboren means maiden name Nestor, or Nestler. And they lived at the time in Sonneberg, Thüringen, Sonneberg even, Bahnhofstraße 2, which is basically Station Road number 2. And having a look on Google Maps and Google Street, or whatever it's called, it's actually there. The building is still there. It's quite a big building. I have no idea what happened to the man afterwards. After the war, I can't find any record of him on the internet. Pages 6 and 7 are basically what he was issued with, kit. So it's interesting to see that he initially was sent to the 3rd Company of the Medical Replacement Battalion, but after arriving there, he must have been sent to the 1st Company. And from the 1st Company, he would have been moved on to the front line, basically. So it gives all the equipment, all the bits of uniform and equipment that he was issued with during his training. This one here says, I believe, winter Bekleidung, so winter clothing. So he was given a sweater, he was given gloves and socks, and a few other bits. I can't read some of the writing here, unfortunately, some of the other things that he was issued with, but you can see it's been signed by both the quartermaster, and he's also signed it there as well. So this could have been done when he was wounded afterwards, or that could have been done just before he went to the front line. He basically went to the front line, I think, in either late December 1944 or early January 1945, but we'll come to that in a minute as well. So as I say, that gives all the details of his clothing issue. Any other special clothing or what have you would have been documented here. As I said, he went to a medical training battalion, so the Medical Replacement Battalion. So he went and trained as a medical orderly. For that reason, he was not issued any rifle or anything like that. This here is details of any equipment that he would have been issued weapons-wise and what have you. So Gewehr, rifle, Pistole is pistol, obviously, Seitengewehr is bayonet, etc., etc. Fernglas is field glasses. March compass is a marching compass. But it's interesting, as a medical orderly, he was issued a Pistole 38, so that's a P38. That gives the serial number there, and he was issued the pistol on the 12th of March 1945. It's not unusual for medical orderlies to be armed with pistols, especially on the Eastern Front. The Soviets were not members of the Geneva Conventions, and they had no compulsion in shooting medical orderlies. So obviously once he ended up on the Eastern Front, he was issued the pistol there. Any other equipment is listed here. So he was issued a gas mask, a Model 38 mask, on the commencement of his training, so on the 7th of September 1944. He was also issued gas mask glasses, spectacles, on the 16th of December 44, and he was issued filter, gas cape, and other equipment there on the 16th of December. He was also involved in 2 gas mask training sessions there, testing the gas mask in a gas room or gas chamber, one in December 1944, or November I should say there, and again on the 16th of December. There's an additional bit of paper here that's been added, just glued in. It gives details about how to react to a gas attack there, and it's just been glued onto the SALT book, as you can see here. There's more room here for any other weapons or what have you to be issued. Page number 9 is any Impfungen, which is inoculation. So he was inoculated for Pocken, as smallpox, and he was also inoculated against cholera. So he's had these tests there. 9th of September, 16th of September, 30th of September, and then he was checked again on the 4th of April, 1945. As I said, the soldier Max did not come into basic training apparently with wearing glasses, but during his time in training he was checked for his sight, and obviously they found that he required glasses. So that's his eye test there, and it says here Dienstbrille erhalten am 4.10.44, which basically translates as he received his army or service glasses on the 4th of October 1944. Page number 12 are any injuries received in on active service, and he was wounded on the 17th of March 1945, and he was admitted to the Feldlazarett 613, which is basically Field Hospital 613, and they were on the Eastern Front. They were in 1944. They were in Poland. By early 1945, they were in Germany and Eastern Germany. Krankheit is basically sickness, illness, or injury, and it gives a code of, it looks like 3IB, but it's actually 31B. And that is the code for shrapnel injury by artillery. This would have been signed out if he had been released from hospital care, and obviously that's empty. He apparently didn't get out of hospital or anything until after the war finished. But again, we'll come to that in a minute. But if he had been wounded and then been discharged from the hospital, that would have been detailed here. And as I said earlier, after he's been wounded and released, he would have gone back to his replacement battalion prior to being reassigned a new frontline company. These 2 pages would have been documentation for anything of value that he brought into the hospital, but obviously he didn't have anything of value to be added here. Page number 16 is dental record. So either he didn't have any dental issues or he didn't have any dental checkups. Page number 17 is just a follow-up for page number 4. You can imagine if you had been in the army before the war, if you joined up early in the war, you might have been through several training battalions, you might have been through several frontline companies and the like. So this is just a continuation page for number 4 here. But this soldier only, as I said, ended up in training and 1 regiment before getting wounded. 18 and 19 are payment details. So as I said, Soldbuch translates as paybook. So it tells, gives information here. doesn't say exactly how much he gets, but it gives authorization for payments. So the army started paying him on the 4th of September 1944 on commencement of his training. And that is the paymaster stamp for the paymaster in Bad Kissingen, where he would have started his training. And that's the stamp there for the training regiment there, training battalion even. And he started off as Wehrmacht Soldbuch, is basically a payment grade, and you can just about see it behind the eagle there. He started off at the lowest pay grade, which is 16. The Wehrmacht pay scale went from 16, which is the lowest, i.e. a soldier, up to 1, which is basically a field marshal or something like that. And once he ended up on the front line, he got paid by the company paymaster with the Panzer Grenadier Regiment, and that is his signature there. So from the 1st of the 2nd, 1945, he was on the front lines getting paid by them. And by that time, because he also had been promoted to Gefreiter, he went up one scale, so he went from 16 to 15, which is the scale for Gefreiters, corporals, and the like. That's the stamp for the Panzer Grenadier Regiment 20, and it gives the Feldpost number there, which is 28846, so that tallies. As I said, he was a civilian before he went in, quite late for somebody. He was about 36 or so when he entered the army, so I'm not sure whether his job was protective for the war for any reason or whatever. But once he went into the army and started getting paid, obviously he wasn't getting paid from whatever company he worked for. So this stamp here tells us that his family got Familienunterhalt, which is basically family supplement. And that started on the 4th of the 9th, 1944. It's basically the same day that he entered the army. His family ended up getting supplementary, I guess you could call it benefits or supplementary pay or whatever. And that was given out by his local town council. So that's quite interesting. So he must have had a family of at least 1 or 2 children. Pages 20 and 21 are basically any payments out with the normal paymaster situation. So as I said, he was wounded on the 17th of March. He was wounded by shrapnel, and then Feldlazarett Motorized, which is a motorized field hospital 613. He continued getting paid. Erläuterung is explanation why he was getting paid, but I just cannot read the writing why, but he was getting 36 Reichsmarks on the 2nd of the 4th, so he was still with Feldlazarett 613 2 or 3 weeks later after his wounds. And then a month later he was still in being treated in a hospital. He was treated by the Sanitätskompanie 192, which is the 92nd Company, and they were part of the, I believe, 20th Panzer Division. So both the divisions, both the medical companies that he was being treated with and his fighting unit were all basically fighting around the Eastern German border with Czechoslovakia. So basically they started off in Gleiwitz, and by about March or so they were near Görlitz, and that's where the man was wounded. Both the companies, both the 20th Regiment, also the parent company, the parent division, the 10th Panzer Grenadier Division, and also the 20th Panzer Division, which is what that unit belonged to, ended up the war in Moravia and the Sudetenland, and they all surrendered to the Soviets. So I'm not sure whether the soldier with us, Max, was moved further in west and avoided the imprisonment, or whether he ended up being made a prisoner along with the rest of them. So basically he ended up joining the front line the beginning of January, but a month later he actually received his Infanterie Sturmabzeichen Bronze, which is the infantry assault badge, in bronze, because he was a Panzergrenadier. He had the bronze version. And again, we got the same lieutenant that signed the promotion bit in the front, signing his award. And on the 6th of April 1945, while he was still with the Field Hospital 613, he was awarded the wound badge in black, and that gives the doctor's signature there, the head doctor there. So that's quite interesting. And page 23 are any holidays, any vacations, leave and the like. And it says here that on the 29th of November up until the 16th of December, he was granted holiday leave. It says Grund, reason. I can't read the reason, but it's quite unusual that in the dying days of the Third Reich, he was given 2 weeks leave before he ended up going to the front line, which is quite interesting. And that again is the stamp there. And the end here would have been for inserting any bits and papers, anything like that. And basically that's it. That's quite a long video, so I'll leave it at that. But that's basically a page-by-page look at my sold book that I've got. Again, depending on the soldier's career and length of service, everything else, you could have a lot more detail in here, but it's still quite an interesting book here. For this soldier here who served for about 3 or 4 months, 5 months or so, and then ended up, I would imagine, a prisoner of war. I hope he made it back home. I hope he and Ida made it and had a good life afterwards. Sonneberg, the town that he lived in Thuringia, ended up in the Soviet zone of occupation. So if he did get home and stay there, he ended up living in East Germany, I suppose. But as I say, I've not found any information about the soldier online as yet. Anyhow, I'll leave it at that. Hope you enjoyed that lengthy video. And as always, thanks for watching, and bye for now.